Hi everyone, Mrs. Bennett here. With Anzac Day fast approaching, I thought I would share a couple of my favourite books based around World War One. So in this video, I am going to read Bobby, the Littlest War Hero, written by Glyn Harper and illustrated by Jenny Cooper. I hope you enjoy it. Quick, everyone out, I whispered. Bobby's gone down. The tunnelers didn't need a second warning. We quickly moved back to the tunnel's entrance and climbed the wooden ladder to the surface. Bobby was the canary I looked after. I had to feed him, clean his cage, and keep his claws clipped short. Canaries were used to detect gas when we worked underground. This gas could kill us. My name is Jack. In 1915, I joined the army to fight for my country. I was 18 years old. Because I was a miner, I was sent to one of the tunnelling companies of the Royal Engineers. Our job was to dig a tunnel towards the German soldiers. Once we were under their trenches, we could set our explosives right underneath them. The tunnels were cold and damp. There wasn't much room to move, and sometimes the soil we had to dig through was rock hard. It was dark too, and most of the tunnels didn't have electric lights, so we often used candles and lamps to help us see. We had to work in silence at all times so that the Germans wouldn't hear us. But the miners were used to tough conditions. Bobby was an important part of our team. On this day, Bobby had wobbled a bit on his perch and then fallen down onto his back. It was a sign that he had inhaled some dangerous gas. This early warning saved our lives. Above ground, I took off my shirt and waved it over Bobby. I was so relieved when he opened his eyes. "He's a little champion, all right," said Sergeant Noakes. "Make sure he gets some extra birdseed tonight, Jack." Bobby ate his reward quickly. We didn't know it then, but this was not the only time he would save us. The next time was in a tunnel in the Somme region of France. Here the soil was almost solid chalk. Chalk is good to dig in because it's easier and cleaner than digging in clay. But there is a higher risk of gas poisoning, and after an explosion, gas can stay in chalky soil for days. We were working an 8-hour shift. The chalk was flying and we had worked up a sweat. I was swinging my pick when I saw that Bobby had again fallen on his back. I dropped the pick and grabbed Bobby, and we all ran. Coughing hard, we reached the surface. We were so weakened by the gas that we knew we couldn't work any more that day. This time it was harder to revive Bobby. Thinking quickly, I ran over to a bucket and sprinkled him with water. The little bird's eyes opened and he shook his feathers. Once again, I gave him an extra ration of his favourite birdseed. I played my harmonica for him too. Bobby loved to hear me play. Some months later, in 1917, Bobby saved our lives again. We were digging in a tunnel near the French town of Arras. I looked up to see that Bobby had dropped from his perch. We all rushed out. A long time had passed, and Bobby was not coming right. I started to panic. "He's not waking!" I yelled. One of the other tunnelers ran to fetch the proto-rescue machine. I turned it on and carefully gave the little canary some oxygen. At last Bobby fluttered a wing, then slowly stood up. He was a bit unsteady on his feet, but he was okay. "No doubt about it, your canary deserves a medal," said Sergeant Noakes. "He's a real hero." But I had something better than a medal in mind. Later, after giving Bobby an extra handful of birdseed, I played my harmonica for him. Then I went for a walk, carrying Bobby in his cage. We could hear the guns firing in the background. All the buildings in the town were damaged or destroyed. Behind one of these buildings, I put Bobby's cage on the ground and opened the door. "Off you go, mate. You've done your bit," I said. Bobby hopped out of the cage, scratched the ground, and tilted his head at me. He nodded as if to say goodbye. Then he flew away. I was sad to see Bobby go, but happy that he was free. I think Bobby was happy too. As Sergeant Noakes said, Bobby the canary certainly deserved a medal. In fact, he deserved a whole row of them. And he deserved his freedom. So the story of Bobby the War Hero is a true story, and in the back of the book it tells you a little bit about how the story is true. And I'll just read you this bit. The story of Bobby the veteran canary appeared in British newspapers in 1917. That's over 100 years ago. It was reported that Bobby had been gassed 7 times and had survived them all. So in the old days during the war, the soldiers really did use canaries to help them know when there was dangerous gas in the tunnels so they could get out quickly. I hope you enjoyed learning about Bobby the Littlest War Hero today. Goodbye until next time.